you ready, Dan? Right, silent prayer and pledge.
Here. Please. Here. Addie.
Here.
Elder.
Here.
Milo.
Here.
Please. Here. Please.
Here. Okay, council has copies of minutes from the last meeting, which was in December. So, would be for Richard. That, who's gonna do the swearing in? Paul gonna do it? Okay, sure.
Thank you.
So we have our four newly elected council members, our ward council members, and our city treasurer that were recently won their election. So I'll call each of you guys up individually. We'll go through your oath, and then we'll move on to the next one. And so first one, we'll start off with our first ward council member, Danielle. Side, so
Okay.
I can move forward, then you go out, so you raise your right hand. And then I state your name.
I, Daniel Brace,
Having been elected to the position
having been elected to the position
of first ward council member
of first ward council member
of the city of Fremont, Ohio,
of the city of Fremont, Ohio,
do hereby solemnly swear that
do hereby solemnly swear that
I shall support the Constitution of the United States of America,
I shall support the Constitution of the United States of America,
the Constitution and statutes of the state of Ohio,
the Constitution and statutes of the state of Ohio,
and the ordinances of the city of Fremont.
and the ordinances of the city of Fremont.
I will not be influenced by any consideration
I will not be influenced by any consideration
except that of merit and fitness.
except that of merit and fitness.
I will not make or authorize
I will not make or authorize
the expenditure of public money
the expenditure of public money
other than for the adequate consideration
other than for the adequate consideration
and efficient service of the city of Fremont.
and the efficient service of the city of Fremont.
And I will faithfully,
And I will faithfully,
in all respects,
in all respects,
discharge the duties of the position
discharge the duties of the position
which I am doing.
which I have been.
Congratulations. And Mr. Sweet.
I sure do. Somehow.
I state your name.
I, Jim Sleep,
Having been elected to the position
have been elected to the position
of second ward council
of Second Ward Council
of the city of Fremont, Ohio,
of the city of Fremont, Ohio,
do hereby solemnly swear that
do hereby solemnly swear that
I shall support the Constitution of the United States of America,
I shall support the Constitution of the United States of America,
the Constitution and the statutes of the state of Ohio,
the Constitution and the statutes of the state of Ohio,
and ordinances of the city of Fremont.
and ordinance of the city of Fremont.
I will not be influenced by any consideration
I will not be influenced by any consideration
except that of merit and fitness.
except that of merit and fitness.
I will not make or authorize
I will not make or authorize
the expenditure of public money
the expenditure of public money
other than for the adequate consideration
other than adequate consideration
and efficient service of the city. And efficient service of the city.
service of the city of Fremont.
And I will faithfully,
I will faithfully,
in all other respects,
in all other respects,
discharge the duties of the position
discharge the duties of the position
which I have been.
which I have
Third Ward Council. I state your name.
I, Anthony Reese,
Having been elected to the position
having been elected to the position
of Third Ward Council
of Third Ward Council
of the City of Fremont, Ohio,
of the City of Fremont,
do hereby solemnly swear that
hereby solemnly swear that
I shall support the Constitution of the United States of America, the Constitution and statutes of the State of Ohio, and the ordinances of the City of Fremont. I will not be influenced by any consideration except that of merit and goodness. I will not make or authorize the expenditure of public money other than for the adequate consideration and efficient service of the city of Fremont. And I will faithfully, in all other respects, discharge the duties of the position which I have been. Fourth Ward Council. Chris. I state your name.
I, Mr. White,
Having been elected to the position
have been elected to the position
of Fourth Ward Council
of Fourth Ward Council
of the City of Fremont,
of
Ohio,
the City of Fremont, Ohio.
do hereby solemnly swear that
Do hereby solemnly swear that
I shall support the Constitution of the United States of America,
I shall support the Constitution of the United States of America,
the Constitution and statutes of the State of Ohio,
the Constitution and statutes of the State of Ohio,
and the ordinances of the City of Fremont.
and the ordinances of the City of Fremont.
I will not be influenced by any consideration
I will not be influenced by any consideration
except that of merit and goodness.
except that of merit and goodness.
I will not make or authorize
I will not make or authorize
the expenditure of public money
the expenditure of public money
other than for the adequate consideration
other than for the adequate consideration
and efficient service to the city.
and efficient service to the City of Fremont.
And I will faithfully,
And I will faithfully,
in all other respects,
in all other respects,
discharge the duties of the position
discharge the duties of the position
which I have been.
which I have been.
Congratulations. City Treasurer. I state your name. Having been elected to the position of Treasurer of the City of Fremont, Ohio, do hereby solemnly swear that I shall support the Constitution of the United States of America, the Constitution and statutes of the State of Ohio, and the ordinances of the city. I will not be influenced by any consideration except that of merit and goodness. I will not make or authorize the expenditure of public money other than for the adequate consideration and efficient service of the city. And I will faithfully, in all other respects, discharge the duties of the position,
discharge the duties of the position.
which I will do. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, council has a copy of the minutes from the last meeting, which was in December. Any changes to the minutes? We also have a copy of the agenda for tonight. Are there any additions to the agenda? Okay. Start with number 3.
First reading of an ordinance authorizing the city of Fremont, state of Ohio to accept adult use cannabis tax revenue from the state of Ohio and deposit the revenue in the city's general fund.
Madam President, I'll talk about this one.
Okay.
This was a cannabis tax that was voted when it was voted on to be recreational and legal. There was a tax that was to be associated with it. And it was issue 2. Issue 2 was approved by the voters back in November of 2023. But there was some sort of what I found online to be some sort of drafting error or omission in the original voter passed law that failed to include the legal authority for an appropriation for the state to release the funds. So it approved the tax, and it approved where the tax was supposed to go, but it failed to have the language, I guess, or the legal appropriation to disperse those funds. And so, since then, we've been waiting on the General Assembly to actually pass something and do something to get us some money. No interest was distributed with it for them dragging the lane out and passing something. But Senate Bill 56 in December was passed, which included the necessary appropriation language. And then in January, we received our first payment, which included the back payments back to, I believe it was from August of 24 through November of 25. So a little bit more than a year. We received a little more than $68,000. When we received that money, I knew it was coming, but I knew it was hung up, and then I knew it was in Columbus. So then I looked up a little bit more, and there was an auditor of state bulletin that kind of reinforced that these funds were, the purpose, the use of these funds was not specified. It doesn't have to be. So it can go into your general fund. But the auditor of state bulletin did recommend that council pass an ordinance kind of designating it. So the ordinance before council just kind of announces our participation with it, and then just designates that all those receipts are going to go into a separate cannabis tax line item within the general fund, and that we're not going to restrict the purpose for those. It also makes the most sense for it to go into the general fund because the police department and human services, which, if anybody did restrict it, it did kind of seem like it was restricted for law enforcement anyway. But everything I saw, everybody was I would ask council to suspend Rule 4, just because we have those dollars now, we've got the first payment, and so technically those dollars are available to be spent, now. I believe we are supposed to get them quarterly now, so we got it in January after the quarter, so it'll be in April, and then in July, and then next year. I didn't do the math. I don't know if there was any ramp up. I haven't gotten any estimates from the Department of Taxation or anything like that. So I don't know, like I said, I don't know if there was any ramp up or anything. I doubt it. They're probably just opened up with their sales, maybe a slight ramp up while people were aware that it was this year. So I haven't taken 68,000 divided by 14-ish months and then multiply by 3 to kind of get a quarter amount. But 68, probably a little bit less than that because it was 14 months worth of revenue. Probably right around like 62,000 a year is what I'm kind of anticipating. I was going to look more into it as Ken and I work towards getting through the budget and kind of estimating some revenue and that sort of thing. So I will try to have a little bit more grasp if I have any when we get to the financial committee for the budget here later.
Yeah, I'm supposed to go into this school year.
We usually suspend rule 4 and then after pass, after.
Yes. Aye.
Yes.
Albert?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Bruce? Steve?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so I do have a couple of questions. Defining a host community, so because we have a dispensary, are we entitled to this money?
Correct.
Okay, and then is our cut of the money from the revenue that is just from our dispensary or statewide divided up by host community?
Just our dispensary.
Okay,
So the excise tax is 10% on their sales, and then of that 10%, 36% of it goes to the host.
okay.
Do we see some more dispensaries coming online? Will that change anything if they do? Or you think stable house will keep the way it is one for 3 counties?
It probably just depends on if people feel that they're not getting the service that they would like, that they don't have access, as much access as they want, or they might, cap their state rep or state senator to try and pass over expand that, but I haven't heard a big groundswell or anything in the emails that I've gotten from like the Ohio Municipal League or anything. I don't see it. Yep.
Addie?
Yes.
Albert?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Bruce? Steve?
Yes.
Bruce?
Yes. Yes.
First reading of the ordinance authorizing the donation of city-owned real property to Sandusky County Land Reutilization Corporation that no longer services a municipal purpose or primary purpose.
Madam President, I received agenda item number 2 and agenda item number 3. With me tonight is Pam, the executive director from Habitat for Humanity, and Heather, who is the director of the Sandusky County Land Bank Committee Organization Book, called me at 5 o'clock and she is home with pneumonia, and she's supposed to be here, but Pam will speak in regards to the Welcome Home Ohio grant, and I'll speak to you just briefly about the city and property that we have that we're hoping to give to these nonprofits. Approximately a year ago, the city administration sat down with the auditor's office and kind of did a internal audit of our property, our assets, and realized that we have some properties here and we didn't have a public use forum, and we thought we found that we didn't have a public use forum, and we thought, well, we ought to come up with a plan to do something with these properties. At the same time we did that last summer, the state of Ohio also introduced the Ohio Department of Development, this is Welcome Home Ohio grant, which is meant for housing. And so in conversations with Habitat for Humanity and the land bank, we thought, well, this would be good use of these properties to help address the housing crisis. You may have heard me speak to the housing crisis we had in Fremont in 2021. We did a housing study that focused on that. But what I have with me tonight, which is kind of hot off the press, but I want to come weeks, is the county. Everyone's drag on the law a little bit. The county's following city's lead and got a countywide housing study done. And it just kind of summarized the housing crisis in the county and just in the executive summary that talks about in the Salvo development, particularly when it comes to the housing study, that Sandusky County, there's a market to exist for 1,000 new homes in Sandusky County for the next 5 years, and that Sandusky County has the largest declining population of surrounding counties and tied for the least household growth with Seminole County of all the 17 counties in Northwest Ohio. So I think it kind of lends support how we took it before, it just speaks to the need for housing. And so we have these properties, they're in residential neighborhoods. There is not a public use for them, and there are organizations that have access to grants to provide housing in these neighborhoods. And so the one lot, or the two lots are off of Old Lane. If you don't know where Old Lane is, across the street from Wendy's. That road is kind of snugged off, and you can't get on O'Connor Road from Old Lane, but there's two lots there. And we talked to the auditor's office, we contacted the recorder's office, and we found that in 1968, the city acquired those properties as part of a storm sewer infrastructure project. And so the storm sewer runs in the right of way there, and then honestly had that what I would call excess property as part of the storm sewer project that never really been utilized. And then the other properties are on North Wood Street, between Fulton Street and Liberty Street. 4 parcels there, with one lot, and that's a parcel that we are hoping to approve to give the Habitat similar. In 1973, the city acquired that property as part of a storm sewer installation for those homes in and around that area. If you look at it, I'm not sure if the storm sewer runs through that area, but I know on paper, there's like a paper alley that runs behind those houses there, kind of closed almost then. But, so internally, for those that don't know, those are properties that we own, because it's public entity, they're tax exempt, and our parks department goes out every week in the summer and mows. And it's probably 2 hours worth of mowing every week, property that doesn't generate revenue. The question was asked of me, well, Bob, why would, maybe we should sell this? Well, because we're a public entity, that's not always easy to do, that goes to bid or auction. But more importantly, somebody can bid on it, and then there's no guarantee that anything, a new home gets built. I think through this process, we can work with our nonprofit partners here, Habitat and Land Bank, and we can do our part in helping address the housing needs here in Fremont and utilize this grant. So we're kind of here, opposed to taking the risk of putting it up for bid and maybe the value that we thought we would want for it, more importantly, buying it and nothing is done with it. We can work with our partners and get housing for them and help address our housing. So, just a second, we'll talk about the grant, but I will say this. I would ask the council to suspend Rule 4 on both agenda item number 2 and item 3, because the deadline for this Welcome Home Ohio grant application is tomorrow, Friday, January 16th.
I didn't know.
And is it necessary? Sort of, because it's a scoring, it's a grant that you get scored. So if we have this approved legislation and grant, the likelihood of us being scoring better goes up with this grant fund. But, and so my intent was, before I realized January 1st would been our first council meeting of the year, we introduced this legislation at our first meeting in January, having council have a couple weeks to digest it, and then ask you to suspend before the second reading, but we didn't have that meeting, so puts us in a little bit of a time crunch. So that's some of the explanation. Now I'm going to turn over to Pam and kind of talk about the grant and Habitat.
Well, thank you for the opportunity to speak about Habitat. We serve the entire Sandusky County, but largely benefited Fremont city limits. In total, over our history since 1989, we have built and we have 31 single homes of those are within Fremont city limits. I have been in the role of executive director for just over, or coming up on 6 years. The first year of that was 2020, so we did not build at all in that year. So for the 5 years under my leadership, we completed 6 homes, 3 of those being within Fremont. Most people have referenced or made note of the changes at the corner in Wilson. The corner right there by the water tower. Those 2 houses are some of our more recent houses. And then we also did one on Hale Drive from the east side of Fremont. That was 3 single homeowners and 11 children. And our intent with the Welcome Home Ohio grant application is to apply for funding for 3 houses. So 2 of those would be on the Wood Street lots that are up for discussion tonight. And then the other is on a lot we already own at 722 Ohio Avenue here in Fremont. So all 3 of those properties will be within city limits. And our goal with the support of the Welcome Home Ohio funding is that we would have all 3 units completed within this calendar year. The funding is available shortly after the applications are reviewed. We can draw down on that. And the Ohio Avenue will be our traditional style stick build that we've seen us do year over year. And then on Wood Street, we will proceed modular houses that get built off-site, brought in, and then we finish it carve out here in our own construction crew. So those 3 homes already have homeowners approved for them. So we again have 3 single homeowners with 11 builders in total that would remain. So Welcome Home Ohio funding, the application for that, the land bank is doing that separately from Habitat. So we both are making applications that just allows us to have a broader application and maintain ownership of each nonprofit of those properties. So working from the same grant funding, working in 2 different ways, but making sure that residents are interested in things. If there are any questions for
But they're more than that. So if we donate these 2 properties, how many homes in total again? Will be on those properties?
So at the Oak Lane properties, there's 2 lots, so each house there. Land Bank already owns land on South Street where they're projecting to build 6 houses there. So through the Land Bank grant, 9 homes in the county, 8 of which will be in the city of Fremont. And then, I don't know, Pam, on the North Wood Street, did we ever figure out how many houses we could get there?
We did look in detail at it, 2 initially in this first year, and then we'll maximize whatever.
I think there was some thought you could maximize maybe 3 houses on the North Wood Street.
Pretty skinny.
Yeah,
We're good at making use of whatever.
Well, the Wilson property is 1 house.
Okay, yep, that was always.
That was 1 house.
Yeah, that was always 2 separate parcels, but only under 1 house.
Can can a resident, does it have to be a resident or can somebody out of county or out of state apply for, hey, I want to live in Fremont for Saturdays? Or would you specify it has to be a resident of Fremont or?
For Sandusky County, for Habitat for Humanity, for our program, they have to either be living or working within our service area at the time of application. For the Welcome Home Ohio funding through the land bank, it does not have to have central restrictions on it. But there are restrictions once the home is purchased, maintaining it as a primary residence, and then there's a time frame that it's sold. Here, it still has to be a board. So there are some limits to it that's monitored by
Do you have an estimate of how many, or what the annual property taxes the city would pay by having these homes? Even just an estimate is
You know, the lots of Oak Lane right now for the auditor's website value of 11,000. You know, I don't know, I think construction of these homes maybe about 200,000. So you know, this is just an extreme ballpark. So you take the construction of a home of 200,000, the value of the land of 11, you're going to be looking at property tax on 211,000, and that might be about $2,000 a year in property taxes.
And that's the grant we're not getting now.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's property taxes we're not getting now. And if, you know, you times it by, you know, the 8 houses in the land link's doing 3 houses here, so you're right. So just rough ballpark. I'm not an auditor and that guy, but you know, but if we say it's $2,000 per home in property taxes that we're currently not getting, and we're doing 11 homes, then it's okay. Well, then now it's $22,000 in property taxes now. Yeah.
Remember, they're not going to be able to continue the taxes, it's going to taxes on lots right now, where the taxes on these lots for the next 15 years.
CRA.
Yeah, from the CRA. Yeah, they use property, and I think that's the advantage because there's a qualifying process. You have to be a qualified potential buyer based on income ratios, you know, and whatnot. And so I think that savings then gets passed on to people, to then those folks that qualify to save and pay the mortgage.
The real increase is probably how much we don't know. But the real increase, I think, depending if the people are working.
I would also say that we have observed that there are more recent builds outside of the city of Fremont, so when a lot that's been vacant becomes a new home, and the neighbors all around start to make small improvements on their properties in the city of Fremont that is really. So I know that that is something maybe not as tangible as a line item revenue, but it begins to have greater impact and start to see that in other ways.
Yeah, for example, the South Street property that the land bank has, that they're going to put 6 homes on. So imagine 6 brand new homes in one city block, in one neighborhood, and the impact that could have as opposed to one home.
That's going into the area.
Yeah, there's been a couple property owners in your area that
I think the other thing to talk about, that you guys haven't touched on too much, is that the folks that will eventually get into these homes, they have to go through a qualifying process. So these homes aren't free homes just given to families. These are families that have to go get qualified financing, that have to take financial literacy classes, and meet the minimum guidelines. And they're actually purchasing the homes. So there's steps that, you know, when we talk about companies just giving away land, these homes will be purchased by hopefully residents here or and it was always our goal. We didn't know that these grants were going to be coming available. So it's always our goal to backfill these empty lots on the properties that we were getting torn down with the cooperation of property owners that were willing to work with the city and the land. So we're starting to see some of that in the last few years. We've partnered with the land bank and even council to spend some dollars on tearing down some of these properties. And now hopefully we're starting to see some of those properties and some of the neighborhoods become revitalized. So it's been a long process this year. Slowly happening.
Is there a stipulation that they have to? I have not seen a Habitat for Humanity house that was that. As far as, no, after, you know, like 5, 10 years. Is there a stipulation that they have to keep up certain guidelines of repairs or exterior maintenance, interior maintenance? Is there any police there?
through our program, we will home in on one of the neighbor, hopefully that picking up the property. I know that Angie always talks about 151 North Buchanan and kind of the pride and joy of that house. But for our homeowners, the opportunity to become a home buyer and have that property be a single one-time tax opportunity through tax taxes. The level of pride that our individuals have gotten. They understand how much community support goes into making that happen, and so they want to continue to see that, the other individuals and to recognize all of the support that they got. And you can see that at Wilson and Sycamore. It's so fun to drive by and see the lights up and to know that that is what they was. And that was possible because of community support at large. The city helped us get those lots ready by reaching out to for us. So there's always been a partnership support that we're fortunate to have. Let our homeowners see that and make sure that they can pay it forward.
And then one thing I will say about the community reinvestment area, if you utilize that tax incentive, part of the requirement is you have to maintain it. So what I do at the first week of every March, I take Dan Henning and Danny Dumminger, and we go in the car and we go around all these properties that are taking advantage of the CRA and inspect them to make sure they're being well maintained. And we're fortunate that a vast majority of them are. Any ones that aren't being maintained, maybe it's a cracked window, a piece of siding fell off, or a shingle, and I reach out to those folks and I remind them, hey, remember, you got this incentive to make this improvement, to make our community look better, so you're not maintaining it, so now you're at risk of losing this incentive. So get this fixed, and tell me when you got it fixed. So if I come around next year's inspection, and it's not fixed, then I'm going to recommend to the Tax Incentive Review Board to expire your taxes. And fortunately, that hasn't happened. Most people do a good job if they make this investment, keep it maintained. Now, when we talk about it, we're talking about the structure. So if there's a car in the yard or weeds are growing up, you can't do anything with that, but we're talking about the actual physical structure. I think I can count maybe 4 or 5 times the last couple of years I've called, well, really shingles coming out of the winter where the shingles fell off. And they're like, I'm sorry, I'll go get it fixed. Or I say, well, let me know. And then ironically, a couple months later, I'm like, hey, Mr. Gross, want to let you know, 123 Swiss Street, I fixed my shingle. Thank you. I'll make that note in the file.
Thank you, Dan, for doing that, and Bob, you said Denny Dumminger.
Yeah, Denny Dumminger. We actually have a good time. We do this, so now I'm going down a rabbit hole. We actually have a really good time sitting in the car and talking as we go check these places out. And we just catch up on a lot of city business. And then I treat these guys to lunch at the Garrison because it's volunteers. You know, they're just volunteering their time to spend an entire day with me. And so we go get a good lunch. And so it's a good time. I don't know, Denny. I think we've done it every year that Mayor Sanchez has been in office. So 10 years now we've been doing that.
And remind them that the corporate benefactor who benefits from the same program has the same restrictions.
Yeah. The CRA, it's not just residential. You have commercial, industrial, state management.
I think that we need to work on this.
And I'll second that.
Well, everybody said.
Okay.
The ladies,
Angie Reese.
yes,
Reinhardt,
yes,
Reese,
Yes.
Lee,
yes.
Briggs,
Yes.
Lees,
Yes.
Second.
I think I'll try this.
That's from the mark.
No, that was the last before.
All right, we'll correct that. All right, thank you.
Okay, roll call. No.
Limo,
Yes.
Reese,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Briggs,
Yes.
Reese,
Yes.
Addie,
Yes.
Elder.
Yes.
First reading of the ordinance donating city-owned property to Sandusky County Habitat for Humanity that no longer services a municipal purpose for the benefit and welfare of the citizens of the city of Fremont. declaring an emergency.
I'll make a motion.
I second.
Reese, Steve,
Yes.
Briggs, Reese,
Yes.
Addie,
Yes.
Elder.
Yes.
Limo.
Yes.
Not good,
Second.
Now we're going to go back.
Roll call. Steve,
Yes.
Briggs, yes, Reese,
Yes.
Addie,
Yes.
Elder.
Yes.
Limo.
Yes.
Council, I just want to say thank you for doing that. I normally try to do it heads up, but in these circumstances, so I appreciate you kind of hearing us out and taking action on it. The only thing I would ask is for those individuals that have to sign the legislation, please don't leave tonight until you sign it, so I can scan it in and send it to Habitat and send it to Land Bank so it gets included in the grant application they send it.
Thank you, Bob.
Daniel,
Something happening at the rack. I asked.
sure, can we make something up?
Wing it, come on.
Okay, how about you, Danny? You have anything?
No, as a matter of fact, we have our traffic council, safety council meeting tomorrow morning, right now, right?
Can I bring something? I had a resident call me yesterday, I haven't had a chance to talk to the city. I would ask you guys to review the stop sign. Somewhere down in the area of Chelsea Street, we're going to find it on the pavement. We're actually not disturbed. He doesn't. I did not agree with this. Something I would bring to the attention of the city. I did drive down there today. I don't have to give it. Did plan on breaking it up tonight a little bit.
Could be the one on just, Madam President, you were saying something you like.
I was saying, stop sign, I just, I drive around there a lot.
It goes in the front street.
Mayor Sanchez, can you tell me what
That blacktop paved parking lot is, it's all old.
Mayor
So it's just the parking lot.
Whatever the owner wants.
Get it out.
That's right. Chris
Council for their action tonight. Appreciate doing that and support. And want to welcome Mr. Grace to the
Dave, I'd like to know. Street crews have been out working very hard over the last few months. And meeting support really it's short every year.
Right, I've read that, so I'm curious what I should look. It's hurt. Right. We don't have a lot, so we should have a lot. We're concerned over it.
This is the most selfish.
Yes, yep.
Thank you.
I just wanted to comment a little bit. Several of us last night were out at the Gagne Farms, and it was a wonderful event. They have a wild game feed every year. This past year was the 50th anniversary. A lot of cruddy weather last night. Didn't matter because probably 75% of the guys out there were rolling four-wheel drives out in the cornfield anyway. And so just 50 years and a little melancholy this year because of Mr. Gagne and Charlie Gagne passing away a few months ago. But it was very well done. Greg Streaker has been emceeing the game feed, taking more and more from Mr. Gagne, and so he did a very good job. It was very emotional for him. But a beautiful night. a lot of money raised for both schools. Fremont and St. Joe athletes are benefited from the event. A lot of great auctions. So just a wonderful event, and it's amazing that it's not really advertised a whole lot, but there probably was 500-600 people came to the barn last night, and so it's just amazing word of mouth. And the mayor had a great proclamation, and Representative Click was there as well and had a proclamation, and so just a really good event. And so I just wanted to acknowledge that 50 years and great turnout for supporting both of our schools, and then congratulations and welcome back to council, and welcome to council, and looking forward to continuing to work with everyone. So, thank you.
Anybody in the audience who wants to speak?
I just have one simple thing I want to say. Thank you for getting my street clean.
Oh, wow.
It was on accident.
It was done.
Was it plowed?
Pardon me? I didn't hear you.
Was it plowed?
I don't want to make it, because I don't know. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, I know,
You get your,
I never looked at it.
Thank you.
I know.
Okay, Jim Sleek moves to adjourn and Andy Reid seconds. Roll call.
Briggs?
Yes.
Reese?
Yes.
Addie?
Yes.
Elder?
Yes.
Ivo?
Yes.